ladies and gents, welcome to War Thunder with Mags. Today I've got another aircraft review for you. I'm going to do the Heinkel He 162. This was the first jet fighter I ever unlocked, and I love this thing. I really do. It is, however, a difficult aircraft to fly. It is most certainly not a beginner-friendly aircraft. If you're grinding the German tier to get access to jets for your first jets, this thing will give you a steep learning curve. However, it will teach you a lot. It's an aircraft that requires you to handle it exactly the right way and to fly, well, basically to fly to perfection like most things German. If you don't, it'll kill you. Plain and simple. Has a couple of very interesting characteristics involving the engine, but I'll come to those in a moment. First things first, we'll go through the armaments. Standard loadout is two 20mm cannons mounted directly in the nose. Same belts you've had available for 20mm cannons on every plane in the German line that's had them. I run stealth because, well, round one, high explosive incendiary shell. Second round, armor piercing high explosive shell. Third round, armor piercing incendiary shell. Great set of rounds. Nothing to complain about on them. Nothing wrong. It's the best way to go. By this stage in time, you should be able to aim accurate enough in historical battles to be able to do away with the tracers, and the tracers are just a wasted round. Second thing, this is the fastest Tier 17 jet in the game. It will outrun everything else on its level. There is nothing that can compete. Well, the two major nations you'll be fighting, being as German, facing with jets, British, Meteor F3, 775 kilometers an hour. Fully upgraded. Russia, now I don't have these, so these are the stock figures, but you got the Yak 15s. 755, 755. This is just, at 900, this thing will dominate. There's nothing that can catch it. You can pick your engagements wherever you want them. The armament is a bit light with just the 220mm. So the idea is precision firing. This plane will teach you to boom and zoom. You will boom and zoom better in every aircraft you fly after flying this thing. You have very limited ammunition. You must make every round you fire count. And you're firing at speeds. You know, dive speed is in excess of 900 kilometers an hour. That's its cruising speed. So you close gap, you have to fire pinpoint precision, you will learn to fire from range, and you will learn to lead moving at excessively high speeds. Second thing about this aircraft, it is equipped with WEP. Now that has a few problems. I think it's the only jet in the game that actually does have WEP. I may be wrong, but I haven't encountered one yet that does. Now, the engine mounted to the 162 was actually the prototype for the engines that the 262s and Arados were fitted to, and they were left alone and not used because their thrust levels were too low. Now, the 162, the entire body fuselage is made of very light aluminium, not armoured in any place on the aircraft. The wings are wood, glued to the frame. The whole aircraft is incredibly light, so the low thrust didn't matter so much, which is why these engines were chosen. They were available, they weren't being used for anything else, and these were built as disposable fighters. But it could use more, so they fitted it with basically alcohol injection. And you can actually see the tubes for it on the side here. These are just exposed ducting. Now what they are is the fuel flows through. In about this section of the jet engine is the combustion chamber, where the ignition happens and turns into thrust and makes the thing go. The WEP just injected extremely high octane fuel. I believe it was pure alcohol, but I could be wrong. Straight into the combustion chamber, increased the rate of the burn. That came as a problem though. The part of the reason why this engine was not used in other aircraft was not just because of its low thrust levels, but because of its intolerance to heat. Now the 262s rather had exactly the same problem, but they got over it by building larger engines and larger cooling. These didn't like heat, and injecting a extremely highly volatile fuel into a combustion chamber that's already incredibly hot, yeah, they cook themselves. However, you can work around it. Now A lot of people seem to think you can only run the weapon these things on short bursts in historical. It's not correct. There is actually a formula behind it. On snow maps, you can run the weapon indefinitely, no problems at all. On non-snow maps, any temperate environment maps, you can still run the weapon indefinitely. The catch is you cannot run the WEP below 3,000 feet. Above 3,000 feet, the air is cooler, therefore the WEP, the engine cools itself, it doesn't overheat. However, if you try and WEP off the runway, for example, you'll blow the engine up in 10 seconds. The first time I flew it, that's exactly what I did. I barely got the wheels off the ground and the engine died, and I was sitting there going, what the hell is going on? That's what it is. So the key is take off, pick a low climb angle away from the direction the enemy are coming from, get to height, and once you're over 3,000 feet, engage the WEP. I actually don't start the WEP until 3,500 feet to give myself a 500 foot safety margin. Because once the engine has started taking heat damage, even if you turn the WEP off and kill the throttle down to 75%, it will still continue to cook itself. Or you'll make the only difference you'll make, once the engine has taken damage and started to go down the burn, you'll extend the engine life from maybe another 4 seconds to maybe 40 seconds. But it'll still blow up. Second thing is, well, as I said before, the entire aircraft is built incredibly light. It cannot take a hit. If you hit this plane with just about any ammunition, it doesn't matter whether it's a 7.62, a 50 caliber round, or a cannon round, it'll cripple it. Cannon rounds usually just cause this thing to turn into confetti. But in size, this aircraft's smaller than a Corsair. It is tiny and it's moving at 900 kilometers an hour. Trying to hit it is a pain in the ass, and you need to exploit it. The other thing with its handling that is really useful, it has twin rudders. It gives it a very unique ability in flight to all other jets. At excessively high speeds, over 700 kilometers an hour, if you snap your controls hard to the left and the right, the plane will effectively jump sideways 10 or 15 feet. A very effective way of fighting with this plane, and I normally wouldn't recommend it for any other aircraft, is to actually go head to head with the plane you're trying to kill. And right at the last second, so right at your maximum convergence range, always use 800 meters convergence in this. Pull the trigger for a short burst, and then immediately flick the mouse or whatever control method you're using, and the plane will jump 15 meters, give or take, or 15 feet, to the left or right of the convergence point of the enemy bullets. Their shells will just go whizzing right past, and by the time they've managed to correct their guns, you're already too close to them. They can't bring their guns to bear, and you'll go straight past them and have all the time to come around and do it again. Other things on this aircraft. That's really it. The best way to see how this thing operates is obviously to fly it. So, let's go do that. So here we are, the alternate history map. I do like this map. The only thing I don't like about it is how often it comes up. 800 meters convergence, as I said, full tank of fuel, and I run the stealth ammo. So here we go. So as you can see, 100% throttle, no WEP. I don't want to cook this thing for you guys on takeoff. A couple of other things I forgot to mention about the plane. This thing is equipped with full combat and landing flaps. Don't use them on anything but takeoff and landing to pull the plane up. The engine doesn't produce its maximum thrust until it's in excess of about 550 to 600 kilometers an hour. Using the combat flaps will increase your maneuverability, but it comes at the cost that they act almost like air brakes on this plane. Just combat flaps alone will easily pull you below 650 kilometers an hour, especially while turning. This plane does not like to turn. It is very much a dart, go in a straight line. Once it's below that, prop fighters will run you down. Your acceleration is so slow getting back to speed. The other thing with it, I forgot what I was going to say on it now. If I'm a bit funny on my commentary on this one, I'm trying live commentary. There is no post-commentary added to this. This is all why I'm flying the match. Yeah, the other thing was on the engine for altitude. Now, this engine gets that 900 kilometers an hour at about 18,000 feet. It'll still do at about 10,000 feet or under, it'll still sit on about 750 to 800, but you won't hit its maximum cruise speed unless you take it to 18,000 feet. That said, don't take it above 19,000 feet, because once it gets up there, the engine starves for oxygen, and you'll basically drop to 500 kilometers an hour. You will not be able to exceed 19,000 feet. So if you see somebody at above 20,000, you're in a bit of trouble with this aircraft. You will struggle to get up there to fight with them. You see, I'm well over 6,500 feet now. The WEP can go on, and as I said in the introduction, I can basically leave the WEP on the rest of the match. The only thing you do have to watch out for is if you're diving to boom and zoom on aircraft flying at low altitudes, if you don't turn the WEP off and you drop below 3,000 feet, it only takes a few seconds and you will overheat the engine. So you always have to remember on low altitude dives to turn the WEP off during the dive. The last thing you want to do, and I've lost count how many times I did it while I was learning how, is to dive down on a target, get shots into them, get the kill, get above altitude, and realise you've just blown up your engine. So, still going for altitude. Good thick cloud cover on this map. We'll be able to hide amongst the clouds and zoom in and out of them. The only thing to watch out for is they can too. It looks like, judging from the lineup, I would say this is only a tier 17 match maximum. It only appears to be Yaks and Focke-Wulfs on our team, which means the only jet we really need to worry about is F3 Meteors, which this thing loves to chew on. I'm just looking over there, using the indicators for allied ground targets that count in the scoreboard at the moment. I'm just watching them. If they start disappearing, I'll know there's a ground attack aircraft in the area, and I'll have my first target long before I get into visual range. For those of you flying ground attackers, I'm not sure if I mentioned it on my BT1 video or not, or BTD1 video or not, but that's how a lot of allied or enemy fighters will locate you when you're striking ground targets. When they start getting in the bottom right hand corner, such and such has killed ground target, they know what you're flying, even in historical. When they look over and see ground targets disappearing, now they know where you are. Doesn't look anybody's here. All the artillery lines and AAA is floating around the town still. So I'm just going to get above this cloud. I'm going to go curve over their base and see what I can find. I'm expecting most of the fighters take off from Allied side, don't get above the clouds till about where the F8F is. So no, I was wrong. This is a tier 18-19 match, because there's the tier 19 Panther. Now I'm going to have to get over there because those Yak 15s will not keep up with it. That Panther will just toy with them. I'm sort of hoping at this stage it's the only high level jet they have. P51, not worried about that at all. Although it is coming this way, I should probably deal with it first. And there's a second Panther. Alright, now I'm going to be fighting from my back on this one. Lead him up. Shit. AF pulling in. Need to keep my airspeed up and make him climb for me. And there's a third one, so we're up against 3 Panthers here. Go vertical. Rollover, and I'll leave the weapon on. What is that? Ah, it's one of the AI. Okay, don't need to worry about the AI. The other thing with this aircraft is Yak 15s are actually doing rather well. The other thing with this aircraft is you will struggle to rip its wings off. I have pulled some insanely high G manoeuvres in this plane and I've never managed to tear the wings off the thing. So you don't have to stress in dives or in manoeuvres with this plane. I would honestly like to find out what the stress tolerance actually is, but I've never been able to find it myself. So roll over back into the dive. These Panther pilots are just falling apart. Well, maybe this isn't going to be such a major match. Ooh, what do we got? And this is what I was talking about with manoeuvrability. I have a Panther on my tail now. He is struggling to get hits, and will continue to struggle to get hits. Actually, because I was away from him. He was running on low speed and he couldn't get an angle. And he has a giant blue swarming up him. Oh, Bearcat. Quick roll, change direction. Keep above that 3,000 feet hard deck. Bearcats are awesome in a dive. This thing does not climb very well. The Bearcat will maintain speed with me. But if I stay straight and level, I will just pull away. As I said, the small size and just gently rolling the mouse as I am here, changing direction slightly, there you go. I'm in my thrust area. F8F will never catch me. Now, just trying to get to altitude, I'm sitting too close to the hard deck here. The enemy team is folding far too quickly. I was hoping to get some better shots in for you guys, show how to nose in this thing. Okay, now I'm back to picking targets. Looks like we've only got... we should have 3, but I haven't seen the third plane around anyway. At the very least, that shows exactly how hard it is to hit this plane moving at speed, because it is so small. A Corsair is nearly twice the width of this thing, and this thing's moving at 200 kilometers an hour faster. The F8F needs to be taken out. So the F8F is going to be my target. Come on. Closing distance, closing speed was too great. Almost turned on the WEP then under my hard deck. 3,500, WEP is on. Now the F8F is not moving particularly fast there. Actually, that is an F8F. It's not an F9F. It's not a Panther. One Bearcat out. Have to get my glasses checked, I think. Looking at them and I was all worried they were Panthers. Turns out they're Bearcats. Oh well, rinse and repeat. Diving in. Kill the WEP. You see I'm going with short bursts on this thing. I'm very limited on ammo and I don't want to get caught back at the runway needing to reload while there's hostiles around. So that's 2. Just 1 left to go. We've only got a Yak 15 and another 190 D12 floating around. They only have, well, that's it. They've just got that one F8F left. We can just loop it over. I'm not going to get the nose over fast enough for my liking, so I'm just going to stay up here at altitude. Now that has cost me a lot of speed doing that, but I'm now at 10,000 feet, and that Bearcat has to climb all the way up here to deal with me. That gives me plenty of time to get back up to my speed. Just use the clouds here a little bit to cloak myself while I'm winding up, because I'm still in my vulnerable spot. He's going after the 190, which is perfect. I'll go into a dive from his tail. I don't need to turn the WEP off because we're almost at equal altitudes right now, and I'm still at 6,000 feet, so I've got plenty of time. He's spotted me coming, he's breaking away. He's going to try and bring the guns around. Suits me fine. Now I'm out of ammo. Oh, and I took a hit. And that shows exactly what I was talking about. One hit. The right wing is now severely critically damaged. It's flashing pink. I have very, very, very little control. It cannot take a hit. That was the shortest burst. I'm struggling to even get the nose down at the moment. I can get this under control. But it was an RTB anyway, I'm out of ammo. So just letting my team know what I'm doing and getting out of here. Now, the 162 is not an easy aircraft to land at the best of times. It is, because it's incredibly fast, has no air brakes. While its flaps do provide a lot of drag and will pull it up rapidly, it's usually not enough. Not like the other jets that can deploy the air brakes and pull to a stop in a very short distance. On this map, the runway is so short, if you mess your angles up, you will overshoot it every time. Now, it's exasperated by the damage to the wing. You'll have trouble getting this thing down. Landing it will be difficult. This will be quite interesting to see whether or not I can actually put it back down on the deck. Although, it looks like I'm not going to need to. The F8F crashed. Well, anyways, with a damaged wing, the plane requires speed to generate lift. See, it's flying very steady now. I'm over 650 kilometers an hour. At low speeds, it wants to dip. It does not handle very well. And with wing damage, considering the small wing size, it will suffer badly when trying to land. It takes a lot of effort to land. As I said, this plane is not new player friendly. It's definitely at the higher end of the difficulty curve in order to fly and fly well. So just keep that in mind. If you take damage, you will have issues putting it back down. Be very careful. So, how did we go? Well, we got 3 aircraft kills, 4 critical hits, 10 hits. Battle time was 2 minutes 38, 74% activity. That's because most of our time was spent climbing in a straight line, not turning, so we can get our lead up. Most of that loss in activity time there was in the takeoff. Mission reward was 30,000 credits, 3,000 for achievements. That made out to 78,075 credits, 52,550 XP with a premium account, undoubled. Awards given, we've got Final Blow, Fighter, and Bulletproof. How'd we go on the team? Well, top slot. Top kills for the game. No losses, obviously. Top kills for team. So yeah, the HE-162. A lot of people hate it. I love it. It will compete in level 18 jet battles as well. You have to be a lot more cautious, never engage on your own. But with its speed, the speed advantage it has, it's easily as fast or almost faster than most of the tier 17 and 18 jets as well. It is hard to fly. But once you've mastered it, once you're good at it, It will not only perform brilliantly for you and you'll love it, it will teach you how to boom and zoom in every aircraft you've got, how to shoot accurately at range at high speeds in every aircraft you've got. I was a mediocre player at best before I got this plane. Flying this plane, fully unlocking it, and playing a lot of arcade and historical in this aircraft, I still wouldn't say I'm an ace, I'm a top player, but I would consider myself above average. And that is entirely due to this aircraft. It demands that you fly it perfectly. If you do not, it kills you. If you want to learn to fly it, it will make you do it. And once you've learnt the skills, the boom and zooming, the range shooting, the accurate fire at speed, and everything that it will teach you, and you turn it back around and apply it to all your prop fighters, all the other aircraft in the game, you will be a better pilot for it. I highly recommend this plane. I even recommend it to new players, even though it's not friendly to them, because of what it will teach you. Well, I think I'm going to call this video here. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. I hope you liked my live commentary rather than doing post commentary. If you want to see more, please subscribe to my channel. Like the video if you do. Feel free to post comments on the videos. I do reply to them. I do read them regularly. And till then, fly safe.